Okay, there's no guarantee how good this video is going to be this way right now. I'm not going to lie, it was a hot one today. And worked inside Hoop House 1 again, but let me get in the sun a little bit. I felt bad. I felt like this shirt showed off my sweat a little bit better than yesterday's shirt. I felt like I wasn't getting the full props that I should. Let's go into Hoop House 1, shall we? Let's take a look. All right, I'm still filming. That's a good sign. And I'm over the fence and I didn't kill myself. That's another good sign. Okay, so saw the earlier video. This is what got done. Finished off this bed over here, forking it, and it's like give a mouse a cookie. This is give a farmer a task. So I'm getting ready to dig the bed here and here. And what do I find? I find a pipe right here sticking up out of the ground right there. And then it goes across, so I couldn't do anything over in this bed. So I got to get the broad fork because the big broad fork wasn't going to work. So I needed this guy. And man, it was down there. I don't even know what that thing was, except that I thought it was going to go over to inside that white pipe is a black pipe, and it goes underneath the walkway. And so I thought that this pipe over here was going to connect to this pipe. It doesn't. I kept digging, and lo and behold, it goes this way and goes, I think, underneath the walkway over there. So, not going to get rid of it. I will cut it back and do the similar thing as this to make sure that we remember that it's there. If we ever want to do a different kind of watering system along there, we've got it. But I had to go out that way to do it, to get to that side. And when I did that, I had the fork in my hand and I was like, you know what? The fork's the job that needs to get this pipe underneath this grass so that I can actually mow out here and not have to worry about cutting this pipe. So I ended up digging up and just lifting up like a wedge and then shoving that down in there. So there's a little bit of a berm, but the water and everything, it all settled down eventually. And so then I got back in here and it was just too darn hot. And as Johnny's pointed out to me, it gets hotter up against these sides, regardless of whether they're up or down. The heat still accumulates right here, and I'm right in this corner, and I'm trying to broad fork, and I've got the pipe hitting right across here too, and so it's tight and it's super, super hot, and there's no wind blowing through that section right there. So I realized that is a task for a morning. So that has been left. I said I finished that off, felt great. So what I ended up doing was take my idea and I implemented it. So I went and got more of those yellow stakes that were in the veggie shed, and I started measuring out from one of these. I think it was this one right here because it's not there anymore, and measured out to there. That was my starting point, and so I was able to measure and push that line all the way back up there. So now none of the equipment is going to get caught on it as we bring it in this doorway. I had already put it underground, and then I put it underground over there because it was getting in the way on that side. So what I ended up doing here is I didn't put it underground yet, but what I did is I put the stakes up against it, so it's way up against there now. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. I didn't want to put it in the ground too much because I'm thinking, man, if I hit that, I'm going to be really upset. So it kind of gives me a guide as to where it's going to be and everything. So what I ended up deciding to do was, since it's going to be hot here, it's going to be cooler in the middle. So I measured out these guys all the way, and I had enough to do all the way to here. And then I had enough to do the two all the way down there for this middle bed. And so then I just brought the string, instead of having it wrapped back over there, I just took it off of down there, brought it over there, wrapped it around, and then just brought it up right here. and wrapped it here. So it's all nice and done. So now tomorrow I can take it off of here, take it back there, I can put it back on that post that's already back there, and I can run it back up. So that's kind of the goal of having these in all the time, is that we can just run a string anytime we'd like in any direction we want, and boom, we've got an edge to a bed. And I didn't need both sides, I only needed one side. And so that just works really nicely. So this is where the beds should be. And I think the arugula bed is pretty much right up against that. So they're really, really close. They're not hugely off. So a lot of this was already done when I said that we were doing the clay and getting the lettuce out and everything. So then I started back in here, and it was soaking wet right in here, all in here. And when I realized, let's see if I can see it. Let's go back just a little bit here. So what I realized, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's a high point up there, and instead of running all the way down to there, there is a low point right here. And so all that water that hits from this side and this side sinks right into here, and it settles all right in here. So we have an opportunity to try to fix that a little bit. I can try to take some out from up there. I can also try to pile up more right in here of the compost as we get going and everything, and just raise that up just a little bit to try to get rid of, we're not trying to get rid of the slope as much because we don't really mind the runoff away from the house and off that way, that's fine, but I don't want this pan that I've got. We've got a dip right here, and I'll try to remember to show it in another video so you can see it a little bit better, but it just dips slightly right here, and it goes right back up just a little bit. Now it's not as high on this end as it is on this end, so it can be deceiving. So anyways, I got all of this done, and let me just tell you, it was not easy. Things have really cooled off. There's a breeze coming through now. It's amazing how much cooler it is in here now than just half an hour ago. It was really, really hot in here. It's much, much nicer. If it was like this earlier, it would have been a lot easier doing this part. I mean, you can even see the leaves are blowing. I had a fan in here trying to get some wind blowing in here, and now Mother Nature's gonna do it now that I'm done. So this one is really an interesting bed because it kind of shows the whole dynamic of our farm. Right here, you can just see, this is pure clay right here. And I mean, you could mold stuff, you could make stuff out of this and put it in a kiln, and you could make a bowl and you would be happy. That's all of this right here till we get to right about in here somewhere, and you can see it starts to break up just a little bit. There's a little bit of mass and stuff to this soil, but you go down just a little bit farther. So this is what I was, here we go. This is what I was kicking it, going down to get with the Broadfort, and you can see what's down there. It's just pure impacted clay. This is just clay. And that's what we have just 4 inches down right in here. And then it starts to get a little sandy because that's what's left of the horse stable stuff is the sand. Everything else is kind of decomposed. So it was much easier to work all in here. And then you can see, like right in here, see how there's life, there's roots. When I was digging it up, there were there's one right there. There's earthworms throughout the whole thing. There's all kinds of stuff going on right down in here. This soil is much, 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 much better. And then we get back into here where the water hasn't been hitting it for whatever reason. We've got that silt, and all of these sprinklers back here just are not working. And you can see how dry this soil is here, and this is what's there. I thought this was a rock when I was trying to dip Broadfork it. This is soil. Well, it's not soil. It's clay. It's dirt. it breaks apart. I can go get a sledgehammer and I can break it apart. But that's what's down here. Here you go. And like I said, I thought that was rock, but it's not. And that's what happens very, very quickly on our farm when we don't get water to things and we don't keep the compost on it and the minerals on it. It very quickly degenerates. And you can see from here, that's the high point back there. So all the water is running this way. And so it is washing everything out. And it's almost a beach back here in sand. That's basically what we have back here, is a little beach. And that's because the water is hitting up there and it's just running down here. There's nothing holding it back, especially down in here. Now that we're not getting anything growing, and we're just having a lot of difficulty keeping mass in here and keeping it as soil. So we really need to get a lot of azomite on here, a lot of compost on here, and we need to get the water fixed so that we can get a lot of water down in here, so we can get plants growing down here, so that we can get that root system that is happening so beautifully up here. See, we got that beautiful root system. See how that all breaks apart? And it's nice and moist and it breaks. And there's all these little roots in here from the plants. And that's what we want, because that retains the water. That slows the mass of water coming down this way. It slows it all down. And it retains it in here for the animals and for the nutrients to continually compost and change what garbage we have here and turn it into beautiful soil. So that's kind of the objective here. And this bed just happened to be a beautiful picture of the whole spectrum of what our issues are, and how wet everything is right here. Right there is a huge dip and it's just wet right there. And that's what ends up happening. So then I'm broad forking in here. Where was it? I think it was right there, I think. And I keep hitting this rock and I'm like, dang, okay. And I keep moving around it because I'm gonna pop it up. Man, I can't get this thing. This is huge. So then I find it. I finally get around it. I find it. It's this. This is some sort of concrete that I'm assuming we poured, but I have no real idea. And I don't know why we poured it. I can't remember what the heck was there. So I'm wondering if maybe the previous owners had the backyard ended there and they had a fence there maybe. Now that, oh, you know what? Now that I think about it, maybe that is what that was. But there's no hole for the fence post. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe somebody remembers. All right, I'm getting a little long-winded. It's time to go drink. That was this afternoon. Wow, it is really nice out here right now. Dang.